So this is a quick tutorial on creating your survey using Qualtrics. And before we begin, I highly recommend that you create a document somewhere, it doesn't matter what program, somewhere on your computer that is set up in the same flow that you want your survey to be seen. And you'll see that copying and pasting when you have multiple questions on a Likert scale will save you a lot of time. And here are some things you need to think about and put into that Word document before we go out to Qualtrics. So are you going to have an anti-bot? If you are, what is it going to be? What is your question going to say? Are you going to have graphics with that? If you are, you want to go ahead and save those graphics on your computer. IRB, are you going to, or have you gotten IRB approval? What instruments are you going to use? What order are they going to be put in? What is their placement? Are you going to have independent variable before dependent variable or vice versa? How many questions per screen do you want your MTurk worker to be able to see? Are you going to have an IMC? If you are, what is that going to look like? And where will you place that? I like to place mine between my independent and my dependent variable, but you may have more than one dependent variable, and so you want to place it between two dependent variables. Are you going to have a variable for common method variance? If so, what is it going to be? Where are you going to place that? Are you going to have forced responses, a progress bar, and your demographics? Really think about your demographics. You'll probably find your demographics in the literature, but what are you going to ask for your demographics and have those laid out? And where will you place your demographics? Will they be at the beginning? Will they be at the end? Will they be in the middle? And before we begin, you should have downloaded the step-by-step guide. It's been provided to you on Canvas, and set up your Qualtrics account, which the instructions are on page 4 of that guide. Your consent form, you can download that from UT Tyler EDU and go ahead and have that edited to match your study, and make sure that you have permission to use the scales that you will be using, and go ahead and get the copyright to those put into your Word document as well. On your bot, if you are going to get your own pictures, the best way that I have found to do that is to, if I get a picture from the internet, is to put it in Paint, crop it all the way down to where there's nothing but that symbol, and then save it as a JPEG on your computer. And, you know, be thinking ahead, especially when you're reading the literature, because the next video after this will show you how to launch your survey on MTurk, and you want to be thinking about what are you going to offer to pay for your responses, because you'll need to have that ready whenever you get into MTurk. I've provided you with some fantastic references. These are a good start to support the decisions that you would be making when creating your survey. And so what you'll see is I do have my Word document here ready to go with everything in it. So let's go ahead and log into Qualtrics. When you get in, my screen will look a little bit different, and that's only because I have surveys already in here. We're going to create a project. Then we're going to do a blank survey, and we're going to name it. You can name this whatever you want to name it. Create project. Now, what I have here is it opened a block, and it went ahead and opened the default question. So every time we say create a new question, it's always going to default to a multiple choice with 3 options. And we can change the type of question choice that we want. I can add how many options there are in the multiple choice. I can move this around. So this is going to be a multiple choice question, and I am going to have 4 choices. And I'm going to start with my bot check, and because I want to make sure that I'm getting responses from humans and not from robot. So I just went out to the Word document that I have created. I'm going to copy and paste. My question is, what is the third word of the question? How many stars are in the American flag? And I'm going to use graphics. I could just type in options and say 13, 50, like that, which is fine. You can, but I want to show you how to put in graphics. So insert a graphic, and you see that one of the really neat things about Qualtrics is every time you insert a graphic, it saves it to your library for you. And the way that you would get your graphic in here is very similar to uploading something to, say, Canvas. So I'm going to browse. There's the 13. I double click on it, save, and it's here, plus it's in my library as well. So I'm going to go back out to insert graphic. See, got it in here a couple times. Do the same with my 50. And so I'm saying insert graphic, stars, insert graphic. And I'm going to put my flag. And all I have to do is to highlight that and delete to get rid of the words that I typed in, but you're also going to see where these are going to pop up with words in just a second. So I want to make this, because I have graphics, I just want to make it more appealing. So I have a lot of options that I can do over here. So under position, I can say horizontal. I can click more and say column, which is what I like. And now you see it says the words popped up to click for a choice. I just delete those. And what I want to do is I want to force a response. So I'm going to click force response. And so what happens then, if I click preview to show you, is if I try to move forward, it won't let me. So that's what force the response did. And I also want to add a skip logic. So what I want to say is, if my responder answers anything other than stars, I want them to go to the end of the survey and not be asked the questions. Okay, so I like to name my blocks, and you'll see why. And on this particular question, I'm going to go ahead and do my recode values. So I just did this gear thing, and then I say recode values. I clicked both the options. It's because whenever you collect your data, and you're going to download two CSV files, and one of them's going to be numbers and one of them's going to be words. The numbers are what you see in the yellow column right now, and the words are what are in the pink. So in other words, I have no words. So I would pull up, I would have a CSV file that didn't have any words, and it would be very confusing. So, and I can code these to be any value that I want. Instead of saying, putting in the word 13, 50, stars, and flag, I'm going to say fail, pass, fail, because that is what makes sense to me on this. And I'm going to give these a value so that I know whenever I see, if I see a 0 on when I'm looking at only numbers, then I know that failed. But also I'm going to see question 1 I can rename, and I'm going to call it bot, because otherwise I would just have Q1 on my report and have to remember, okay, now which one was Q1, and I don't want to have to spend time referencing documents back and forth. Now that I have all of my values recoded, it'll make my skip logic a little easier. Let me show you how. So I'm going to go to survey flow. My block is my bot block. If I got down, and let's say I have 6 blocks and they were all just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I wouldn't know what they were. So that's why I like to name those. Here we go, and I'm going to do this twice. So there are several steps, but you will get to see it twice. So add below, branch, add a condition, question. I only have one question in here right now to choose from. Select a choice. Now this is why I said fail, pass. Because remember, there were no words at all, and I would be looking at this going, oh my gosh, which one do I choose? And so I want to pass. So if pass is not selected, okay, tell it okay, add an element here. I want them to go to the end of the survey. But I want to customize the message that they're going to see. So I need to override survey options, custom end of survey message, select a message. You will have a library as well, although yours is empty and mine is not. I have lots of them in here, but let me show you. You're going to just go to new message. You're going to name it. Nobody sees this but you, so name it something that makes sense to you. And then hopefully, whenever you created your document of your survey, you've put in the suggested options for end of survey text. So I'm going to copy that one, and that one just says, we require that participants provide their consent and pay attention to the questions being asked. You have provided an unacceptable response and will not be asked to complete the survey. Thank you for your time. So I'm going to be able to use this option on my bot fail as well as if they don't consent. Save. Now it's in here and it's also in my library, and save. And I know that I have a custom end of message because of that little check mark right there. Then I'm going to click Save Flow. And then what you want to do is preview. And you want to do this answering every single option. See, it took me to the end. So you want to go through your survey and check all of these. Oops, I've got a preview. So stars will take me to the end because there's not a second question yet, but it's a different message. So you want to check all those before we move on. Remember, one block is one page, like you just saw on that when I did the preview. So that's all they're going to see on this page, and then they're going to move to the next. This is just showing what it would look like on a cell phone. If that bothers you, you can close it. So I'm going to add a block, defaulted, and create a question, and then it defaulted to the multiple choice, which is fine. That's what I want. I'm going to go back out and get my consent. That's what I'm putting in next is my consent. Super easy. I come here and I just paste it in. I'm going to name this. I'm going to name my question. Now here's one of the really fun things about Qualtrics. I have 3 options here. I'm going to have yes and no, but let me show you what happens. It defaults. I mean, it knows, it has a brain. So watch this. So I have 3 choices and I only want 2. So I do that. It gets rid of the maybe, and they're in there for me. Again, my gearhead, recode values. And I like my node to be 0 value. And that's just me. You don't have to change that at all. Okay, this is preference. You get to make your own decisions here. That's the fun part. I am going to force a response. And I'm also going to put in a skip logic, just like I did before. See, the consent block. This can get really confusing if you have a lot of this branching, because now that branch, I can't tell by the arrows and whatnot which one it goes to. So that's why I like to name everything so that I don't get confused. So here we go for the second time. Add below. Branch. Add a condition. It's a question. It's the second question. If they do not select yes, okay, add an element, end of survey, customize, override, custom, select a message. And remember, mine would work with that same one, that same end of survey message I put in. If not, then you would just add your message like we did the first time. You save, and you want to preview and check and make sure that works. Okay, add a block. I'm going to add my dependent variable now. Create a question. Defaults to multiple choice. Well, for my dependent variable, I'm going to have a Likert scale, which they call a matrix table. I have a lot of options here. It defaults to 3. I'm not going to worry about how many there are because I'm going to show you a really fun hack. But I do have a 5-point scale. So I do need to have the 5 points, the 5, go up to 5. Here are the directions to my first question. Please select the options of each item that most closely reflects your opinion about training. For the following items, please think about training in general in your organization. Remember, your opinions are confidential and there is no right or wrong answer. And then my scale goes from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And Qualtrics is going to try to help me out. Usually it'll start filling in. So disagree and then neither. It's not going to help me out today. And then I have agree and strongly agree. Okay, these are in here. Now I've got to put my statements. And if you look here, and I number these to show you, I don't have numbers set up. I have several down to O. I don't know why that's not gonna. So here we go. So what I want to do is make sure my numbering's turned off. I just wanted to show you that I had several questions. I think there's 15. But watch, I'm going to copy. And I'm going to, just in the first statement box, I'm going to paste all of that. And it automatically knew, because of the spacing in my Word document, that this made the 15 questions. Okay. Now, I want to force responses. This is my LTSI, because it's the Learning Transfer Inventory System. Now, when I go to my gearhead and I look at recode values, I have 3 options now because it is a Likert scale. Now, you all have used R, so you know that it can be temperamental. If I leave this how it is and I get the data and I go into R, I would have to type each of my variables or each of my items with the underscore. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to take the time right now to just go through one time and take those out, so that I don't have to spend time later of every time I type this of putting in the underscore. You name these whatever you want, whatever works for you, but just remember, whatever this is here is what it's going to look like whenever you get your CSV file. And it went ahead and put the LTSI in for me because I had named the block LTSI. If I hadn't, it would be, I think, because this is my 3rd block, it would place a Q3_1, Q3_2, like that. So it'd be really crazy and not make any sense. This is matching up with my Likert scale, which I want. So I'm good with this. Okay, I said forced entry. Now, there's one more thing I want to show you. And I can go down here to the very bottom and say preview question. And although this is I can't blow this up. Let me show you in preview. We can do this real quick. I just need to say stars, and then I need to say yes, and then, okay. So let's say I'm the mTurk worker and I'm looking at this. You see what's happening is I get down to about right here, and if I were going to answer this question, I'd probably have to go back up there and say, okay, now what are the options again? And I need to fix that right there too. So let me show you what I can do. fix this real quick. Make it right. It's got to be pretty. And so over here on the right, where it says answers, it's referring to my Likert scale. Helps to spell things right. So watch this, multiple answer. Oops, wrong one, sorry. So I have forced validation. Here it is, under options. Sorry about that, guys. Repeat headers. And once I do, it gives me this menu where I get to pick. So in the middle, it's just gonna come up I think it's every 5. If I say bottom, it's at the top and the bottom. If I say both, it's in the middle and at the bottom. Or if I say all. This is your preference, but I don't think, because it's such a long block, that it should be just at the top. So I'm gonna say middle is usually what I do. And if we go back out and preview that, you'll see that it'll fit within the screen. See, it looks a lot better. So those are your options that you can do on that. All right, I'm ready to add a block. I'm gonna put my IMC here because I am between my dependent and independent variable. So I'm going to create a new question. My IMC is going to be a Likert scale with one statement and 5 points. And I have these numbered. Okay. And I'm going to say IMC on here. Please click on the button below the blue circle at the bottom of the screen. Do not click on the scale items numbered 1 through 5. This is just to screen out random checking. Okay, so you see how when I deleted the words, it made that whole thing go away? There aren't any options now. So I want to add that statement back in, and what I'll do to get rid of this is highlight it and I'll hit the space bar. Okay, and then that leaves everything like this. And then I need to put the blue dot question in. So I'm going to add a question. This one is going to be a multiple choice with one choice. And again, I just want the dot, so I'm going to just do the space bar. And then this is going to be my blue dot. So I'm going to go rich content editor. I'm going to, this right here, real little, the insert graphic. I'm going to put my dot in. I'm going to get rid of these words. Now I want it to line up pretty, so I'm going to tell this to center, just like I would like on a Word document. And then to get my dot underneath, I'm going to come over here to position, and I'm going to say horizontal. And so I've noticed that sometimes it'll look right on here on this screen, but when I preview it in the survey, it doesn't. I can just say preview question just to look at it real quick and make sure it lines up pretty, which it does. Okay. That's my IMC. I'm going to add a block to do my independent variable, which is another Likert scale with 5 points, scale points. Okay, I'm going to go to my Word, and I'm going to copy my directions. And I'm going to paste them. And in my never to very often. So it's never, rarely, sometimes. See that now it's trying to think for me. And then it was often. And I have 6 questions on this one. See, I have them numbered now. And I'm going to turn off the numbering, and then I'm going to copy. And again, I'm just going to go to the first statement. I'm going to paste them, and they came out for me. And similar to the previous question, I'm going to have repeat headers. So every 3, just because I know that it's not going to look right. This is my ADHD scale. I'm going to question 6, ADHD, and then I'm going to do my recode values. And again, I'm going to take a minute now to remove that underscore. This is my preference. Rather take a second now than have to type it all the time. Close that. Now these will, I do want to do forced responses on this. I don't do forced response on my IMC. So I didn't point that out, but I wanted to point that out that my IMC, I do not. And then when I do my recoding, then I'm going to say IMC, and this is fail. If any of these are answered, then it's just 0. It's just fail to me. And then my second one here, IMC pass, so that it makes sense whenever I see on the CSV file. So that'll come out. You know what I could do? I went through that really fast. Look. Not. It's because it's showing the graphic. I don't force response on that. Now, one more thing I need to do on my independent and dependent variable is on these 2 scales, I need to put the copyright in. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. Create a question. This is going to just be a descriptive text, and I have these saved. So this is my copyright that I got straight from the author through email. And I'm just going to paste it there. And then again, create a question. Super easy. This program is awesome. And this one does actually have a copyright. So I'm just going to paste that in there. Okay, now I'm going to add a block, and I'm going to do my demographics. And I'm going to create a question. And my first question, so please answer the following general questions about yourself. Remember, this information will not be tied to your identity. So I'm going to put that info in there. And then return my first question that says I identify as. And this is just another fun thing that Qualtrics does. When I put male, this is female, and it adjusts for me. It's so fun. And so I have several, I think I have 5 demographic questions, and I'll just go in and put all of those in here. And again, remember, this works on multiple choice just like it does on the Likert scale, where I can copy all of them and just put them in choice 1. And I don't force my demographics. Not saying that you can't or you shouldn't. That's just my preference. These are really long right here because it's talking about industry. So then I will have all of these in here. And I want this to be, I'm going to call this one sex education occupation. Is that all? Okay. Oh, I missed one. I thought I had more. So I'm going to put this in. And I'm going to call this my cohort. And you'll see that if you forget something and you add it in, like if I forgot a whole block, then I can add a block down here and I can move things around by using the options, move question. So if I wanted to move this up, see, move your mouse where you want it. I wanted that one up there, right there. So that's where I want. See how cool that is? Just moved it right up for me. And then you'll see, because there's really not a whole lot that I can do to recode values on these. I'm not going to recode them. I will know what they are because I've named them here. So I will see cohort there. Okay. So I need to add my end of survey. So one more time, survey flow. See how I have all these blocks and things in here now, and that's why I like to name my blocks so that I know what I'm looking at. So after demographics, I'm going to just end of survey. I am going to customize it because there is a special code that we have to put in this here that you'll get off of your handout that you downloaded. So I do want to go ahead and put in, so it's a new message, put that in, payment code. And this is just for me. Nobody sees that, so that I save it. Okay. And I know that it's in there because I have my check mark and I save my flow. Now, look and feel can play around in here because you can change things to meet your preference. Okay. One thing that I like to do is I do like to give a progress bar. So under general, so now see how I put that at the bottom. And then I can also, in my survey options, I have options of things I can do. And the one thing I like to do on this is I like to prevent ballot box stuffing. So that means that they can only take the survey once. But if you want them to be able to go back and change their answers, you would have to check this box because it automatically doesn't let them go back. So you can read through these and save. Then what you want to do is preview, 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 and check to make sure all of your skip logics are correct and everything looks how you want it to look. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go distributions, and you want to, it defaults to email. You want to go to web, use an anonymous link. This link, we'll copy this and keep it in a safe place. This is the link that you will put in when you go on to MTurk. And also, you want to take this link and email it to friends in your cohort and ask them to please take your survey and provide you with feedback so that you can test it out before you go out and start paying to get your responses. Okay? And it is that simple. If you have any questions, please post them on the discussion board so we can get those answered for you. But have fun and good luck.